Me, 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 me. Okay, I think we're good. I got Ninja Book Bed. Hello, Ninjas, Menace from the Sky. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Doing good, doing good. Just readying up to get started. And we are gonna... Oh yeah, actually... Before I forgot, I need to get ref to make sure everything is okay. Let's see here. Gotta get my ref material. You're okay, that's good to hear. That is good to hear. Yeah, know what? I think I'm gonna get material from my own pixel art because their character shit is buried very, very deep. Now we're just waiting for the ads to be over so we can get started. You know what? This is actually a pretty good one. Yeah, this will work as well. And I'll color. And there we go. Are we ready? Are we ready? We're ready. Let's get started. Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? Let me get the song. There we go. Yeah, we got good songs. Hope everyone's doing good today. Today we are going to do not commission work. We're going to do the redeem. Yes. The very, very hard to reach custom ninjaling redeem was redeemed by Whiskey last week. And today we're gonna make it come true. Yes. For the low price of 80,000 shurikens. you can become your own ninjaling. Not just a hat, a full body makeover. So that's what we're gonna do today. The rules are very simple though. Your ninjaling is still a ninjaling. So basically certain things won't change. For instance, all the ninjalings have our bodies are made of shadows. So basically this is like if the ninjaling is playing dress up, essentially. The ninjaling will be playing dress up as your OC or whatever you pick. We had one person who redeemed it and asked their ninjaling to be dressed as a Warhammer battalion. And we did just that. It looks pretty metal, actually. This one right here. So that is the concept of what we're doing today. Yes. So everyone, hope you all been doing good today. Yesterday, I bit the bullet. Hard. So I've been procrastinating on this project of making an RPG Maker game with my own pixel art for I want to say 3 years, but it's probably 4 years now. And it's not something I'm proud of that I did. I got around halfway to doing it. Then I ended up getting completely lost in the sauce. Didn't know where the plot was going anymore. None of the plot hooks that I did I felt like were that great anymore. So I ended up taking a break. Then I tried to plunge through to be like, well, at least I'm gonna end. Whether I like it or not, I should at least try to end the project or something like that. That didn't work. Like, at all. And recently, though, I kinda did like some soul searching, and I figured out why it didn't work. Why could I not finish the project even though I actually tried pretty hard? I did a bunch of assets for it before I even started the project, and I was very committed to doing it. And still, in the end, I ended up not doing it. I kinda had the excuse that I was busy with commissions and stuff like that. Every time I'd be like, okay, today is the day. Today is the week that I'm gonna restart. Then I would get like some commission or something, and I would end up leaving it. Okay, maybe when I have some more free time. And then not that I never did have some free time, but I was like, okay, now I'm tired. I have free time, but now I'm tired, so I should rest. And then I rested. And you can kind of see where this goes. It's kind of it's a loop, basically. So I was like, but why though? Why is it so hard that I can't pick myself up and do this project? Why do I want to do something else instead? What is pulling me away from the project? And I figured something out very important. The main thing that I figured out was that when I made the project, I did it in the most non-committal way possible, where I decided that I would just write the story as I went along with making it, right? And I would continue making assets as I deemed them necessary in the story that I was still writing. Because I did have a story, but it was like a blurb of what my lore was. which was written with the help of another VTuber that no longer streams anymore. And I was like, I was trying to make a game out of like a blurb that was like, I don't know, 10, 20 paragraphs maybe? It was a very short blurb, and I was trying to write an entire game based around it, which technically possible, but here's the problem. I didn't write it. I didn't write everything before getting started, and because of that, every time I got to like a pivotal point, I would be like, but wait, if I did it like this, wouldn't it be funner if I changed everything? And then I would like get to a point where I'm writing the story and I would get like a different idea of how I could do X or Y differently, you know? And then I'd be like, oh, this is much better. I'm gonna change this. But then, because I changed one thing, that meant I needed to change another thing in the story. You know what I mean? And then I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna change this too. Then I'd go back and change that thing. Then I would be like, no, but wait, I think actually the other way around was better. So I would change it back, and then I'd have to change another thing again, either back to how it was, or to a different version of what it was, because I changed it back, but I didn't quite change it back, you know? Changed it back slightly. And then there would be like this this back and forth, where I would like get stuck in specific scenes. Then I would find a solution, but sometimes finding the solution would cause me to change other things, and then that would make me get stuck on a different scene later that was clear when I had the first thing. Basically, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. Like, one thing kept pulling the other thing, and I was running around in circles. And the main issue was that I couldn't decide, because, and this is something that I saw like recently talking about how people can sometimes get lost in life because they get too attached to the potential of things instead of actually doing the thing. It's kind of like a cognitive trap where you're like, yes, doing it's not like a thing that you think consciously, by the way, but it is something along the lines of, oh, okay, we could do the thing, but it could not be great. It's not gonna be as great as what we conceptualize it in our minds. If the thing never gets done and stay in our minds, it stays perfect. You know? So that way, we don't have to ever commit to something less than the absolute best that I want this thing to be. And because of that, and that thought would like sneak in and completely sabotage every attempt that I have, all the attempts that I made in order to finish it, right? So then it hit me when I was watching this video about the production of Final Fantasy VII, the original one. Which, fascinating stuff. Apparently the way that they did it, they wrote that game, was they had several different teams, right, of writers, and each of them was responsible for a single region in the game. So there was a team that wrote the entirety of the Wutai saga, the one where Yuffie backstabs the group and runs away with their materia. There was an entire group that wrote the descent into the ancient temple And that one very iconic scene. Right. And so on, so forth. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold up just a second. How can an entire group, how can entire different groups of people write at the same time, simultaneously, this happened simultaneously, different parts of the game, even though there wasn't a unifying script to it. There was only a base idea that like the head director had. And they still managed to fit everything together in the end into a cohesive plot. One of the most celebrated plots of all time, even. And that's kind of when it hit me that I was going about the process of making the game entirely wrong. It isn't about changing one thing all the way at the end and then having to change everything at the beginning. It's about making the effort to make things fit and being okay. And thinking, yeah, no, this is gonna be alright. So what I decided to do, and I started this yesterday. Hello, let's go, Lemon. How are you doing? I'm doing good. Today we are making a whiskey ninjaling. They redeemed the custom ninjaling redeem, so that's what we're doing. And I was talking about an epiphany that I had when hearing about how Final Fantasy VII was made. One thing that's very amazing about the writing of Final Fantasy VII was that a very, very important NPC for the game was only introduced right at the end of production, changed the entire plot, and they barely had to rewrite anything. In fact, there's still like some old dialogue that was lingering there that was kind of felt out of place. That was like a relic from other writing. But the game still came out fine. The game still came out pretty fine. And that inspired me to try again. So basically, what I decided to do is start writing the game from scratch. Because the first time I started writing this, the game was like 3 years ago or something like that. And the me from 3 years ago isn't the me from now. It doesn't really reflect necessarily a lot of things a lot of tropes that I think are cool anymore. It doesn't necessarily reflect how I view certain things or how I'd want to work with certain subjects, you know? So I might as well start from scratch. However, what I'm doing different this time is, instead of trying to write something that's like super open, so in case I change my mind about something, I'm gonna write the whole game outside of RPG Maker. I'm gonna write it down in a fucking notebook. And when I actually get to work at the game, all I have to do is put the transcript on the game and code the scenes the way that I want them to be. That way I make the commitment of not trying to change everything over and over and over again. Also, along the time that I was struggling and trying to figure stuff out, I also figured a few resources with RPG Maker that I was like, oh, this is really cool, but I have to change an entire section in order to include this in the game. I have to change the entire game in order to include this in the game. And some of those were actually like really good ideas. Like, for instance, one thing that I didn't know you could do in RPG Maker is that there's a system that lets you learn skills only when you have certain items equipped. And like the game you are playing, the whole concept of it was that you're gonna play as someone who is like a very resourceful ninja, right? That would try to defeat their opponents, usually not through raw strength, but using like different skills, or almost in a puzzle-like way, right? The way I wanted the fights to be was less about like levels and grinding. In fact, I tried to remove levels and grinding completely, and more about the puzzle of what the enemy is trying to do to you versus what you can do against the enemy. So let's say I have, here's like an interesting example. Let's say there's an enemy that is like this really gruff samurai that is really powerful, and they have a slow charge attack that they will prepare their stance first, and then they will strike you. Now, you could use a defensive skill in order to try to block / evade the attack when it comes out, and then try to time when he is charging up for his attack to actually attack him. That is a thing you could do. But let's say you happen to come across a sexy maid outfit, and the sexy maid outfit lets you learn a charm skill. Now, you hear firsthand before you fight said enemy, you hear a rumor that said enemy is kind of a leech, kind of a lech, right? So, from that hint, instead of fighting the hard-fought fight of like timing it and then attacking and then waiting and the guy has like a huge HP, let's say you equip this maid item and you use the charm skill that's in the maid item, and it works. And because the character is charmed, he gets stunned and he can't use his attack that's charged, and you can beat him. Now, I wanted to do something like this, but without the items, it just felt like really weird. Because it would be something along the lines of your character has 1,000 different skills, like the charm is just thrown in there with a bunch of different weird abilities. Like, I don't know, show cucumber or something like that, right? And you would like have to surf and read through every single skills and try to figure out what would be useful for the very specific situation. That one doesn't work very well. I thought about it, but it would just be like both overwhelming for the player and not really that amusing. And also it would like be weird in a sense, because it would be if you look at the skills earlier, it'd be like, why is this here? Why is bowing down an important skill for a ninja? Why is this here? You know, stuff like that. So if the different skills that you can use, they are inside equipment and items, and as you're exploring and gathering things, you unlock these. It feels both more organic, more intuitive, right? And it rewards exploration, which, if you ask me, the main point of playing JRPGs is the exploration part. That has always been a thing that old RPGs, particularly old JRPGs, try to do. It comes back all the way to like Final Fantasy 1 and Dragon Quest, where like whenever you buy like the guide from Nintendo Power, And the guide would have like its first hint session would be like, talk to everyone. That would be their first advice when embarking on your RPG adventure is just talk to everyone. And it seems silly, but like game developers have always tried to do. There's like this mini game in JRPGs. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever noticed? And have you ever wondered why would you bother coding in a little boy that says like, I don't know, I miss my rubber ducky in the middle of the street, right? There's like this massive apocalypse event happening. Thanos is invading or whatever. And there's like a little boy that goes, I miss my rubber ducky. Or a dude that's like, man, I sure wish it would rain some more, right? And you're like, why are these random excerpts here? Are they here for world building? Yes, but actually no. The real reason they're there is because they are duds, in a sense. You are when you talk to everyone in town, you're kind of researching. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? Where you should go next? You're looking for clues. You're basically doing investigative work if you stop to think about it, right? And every so often, mix it in with those weird flavor text and details about how someone really enjoys the rubber duckies. You'd get a guy that go, oh, you're the hero of legend? Oh, wow, that's so cool. Oh my god, you know what? My grandma has this potion. She died recently, she doesn't need it anymore, so here, you can take it. And then you get items. You randomly get items from people you talk to. Sometimes a person would literally go, you know what? The Castle of Plot Advancement is right around that corner. You should go there. You get hints, you get items. Sometimes you get like little special events. Sometimes your character knows someone. You get side quests. You get all sorts of stuff. But it's mix it in. Thank you for the stretch. I didn't see that, but I saw it now. I'll mix it in because it's meant to reward you talking to everyone sometimes. So it feels like an exploration. Feels like it has a chance to succeed and to fail. And you know what? That is cool. That is something I knew, but I didn't really realize just how important this can be in an RPG. I was like, okay, I feel like I understand how JRPGs work now, work better now. And that's what got me inspired in trying to write the game again. Yeah. And this time I'll actually write it instead of just being like overly attached to potential branching story arcs. Because like the first time around, I was like, okay, I can come up with several different ways of how this story runs through. Maybe I'll go this way, but is this the perfect way? Maybe that's not the perfect way. Maybe I'll do this way. You know when you kind of get like, you get... It's like a trap. It's like a trap. You trap yourself into wanting to do things too perfectly, and you end up doing nothing. I was annoyed at myself that I couldn't finish the project, you know? Now I think I got it. Now I think I figured it out. Have I actually? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back here and be like, yeah, so I'm taking another hiatus. That's a possibility, honestly. But this time I want to at least write down my game entirely, so that when I actually have time, if I don't have time to finish it for a while or whatever, I actually have something that I can be like, no, this is the blueprint, this is what we're doing. And also it was kind of a huge mistake to try and make the maps and the pixel art before actually making the game. Because, like, for instance, one terrible thing that I did... That makes sense? Ah, thank you. One terrible thing that I did with that game was I wanted an overmap because I played Chrono Trigger, and Chrono Trigger's overmap is so cute. You have, like, that tiny sprite. Hello, Aska! Welcome to the stream. You have, like, that very tiny sprite of the character, and it looks so cute when it's walking around. So I decided that I wanted that in my game. So I made a map. But then I decided that I wanted to change the locations of everything in my game. Because I was like, oh, but it doesn't really make sense if this is here, because the forest is supposed to be north, because north has feng shui significance. So I should actually move it here. But then I had already made the entire map and I couldn't redo it, and I ended up scratching the world map just because of that. And then I put it in another way that I thought was really cool. But then I realized that the way that I had made the map to work was actually a way that they did in Suikoden 3. And I actually really hated that method, because it made going back and forth like really tedious, right? Hey Red Eye! How are you doing today? Welcome to the stream! Whiskey redeemed ninjaling. Hey Medina, how are you doing? Welcome everyone, welcome. I'm doing good, I'm doing good. I was just talking about that I decided to bite the bullet, and I am gonna rewrite my game, the game that I was working on, because the project has been like dead on the water for like so long that every time I try to work on it again, I don't know what's going on anymore with the plot. Then I have to like play the game, and then I find stuff that I don't like, then I have to rewrite it again, you know? I am beaten on a quickly hopping by to say awoo. Thank you and thank you. Ah! Awoo! Woo, woo. Awoo! Happy awoos. Oh, that's probably a good decision, even though I got it might hurt. It's okay. Truth be told. Hold up, can I do a woo-woo? Let me try. Woo-woo. Ooh! 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 How's that? I don't know if that came out. That was good. Nice. Thank you for the pet, Lunatic, and welcome to... How are you doing? Yeah, it is painful, but I think I should rip the band-aid. Because... honestly, every time I try to work on it, I had an epiphany, even. I had an epiphany. Been lurking here for a bit, was playing with my sister. Ah, that is nice, that is nice. That is important. It is important. Family is important. We're making ninjaling whiskey today. Momochi and me gonna put you in a bikini. Oh no! Oh my god. You know, I actually, I am actually interested. Like, Momochi designing a bikini, because like she plays so many gachas. I am cautiously curious. I'm very curious. Not sure if I should be concerned or not, but because like she played so much Azure Lane and stuff like that. I wonder what kind of bikini she would draw. So sorry, but I got already love chat. Oh, don't worry about it, Medina. Thank you for dropping by. Hope you have a good day. Hope you get to do the things you need to do. Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, the thing with like how the video that I saw about how Final Fantasy was written, like opened an entirely new galaxy of how creative process can work for me. Bye-bye. Have a good one. I was in awe when that the video said that freaking Zack, like one of the most important plot twists in the game, was like added last minute. And like the writer didn't exactly know how it was going to pay off, but he was like, okay, foreshadow this, and the things could just write their section of the game without too much issue. And the story is still connected. I was so hopeful. Because one, it removed that illusion that in order to do anything, you have to like do it perfect from the start, right? I know that, but every so often I get trapped by that concept. It creeps in. It creeps in and it stops me from doing stuff. And the other thing that I saw was like was kind of a self-help thing, but it was mostly talking about why people sometimes feel difficulty actually doing stuff, why they get stuck in the creation part of doing something. And it's usually the way they put it was that it's because you get kind of greedy. Because when you're starting out a project, when you're idealizing something, it's all in your head. And there is a shitload of potential. The story that you're gonna write could go anywhere. Could go absolutely anywhere. And then you get really excited with the story going anywhere. With the way the story can go anywhere. And then you start writing something, but then you're like, but what if it went a different direction? Then you change it again. Change it again a little bit to go into the new direction, but then you're like, but maybe the old direction was better. Usually the where the trap is in the maybe this is better. Right? Yeah, I like this, but maybe this here is better. That's where you get tripped up. You start searching for better. Start searching for better, and sometimes you like come up with multiple things that could be cool, and you're like, but if I do it this way, I won't be able to do it this way, and this way is also cool. What if this way is better than this way? And you're not like, there is like no measurable scale of the thing you are torn on being actually better, you know what I mean? But you start to get insecure, then insecurity starts creeping in, then you don't know what you really want to do, then you keep going back and forth over and over again. And that was basically it. That's like, goddamn. So I figured out two things. Thing number one, I shouldn't be too afraid to pick something as long as it's something I like. Because if you pick something you like, right? And you have to, if you have to give up something you like to pick something you like, at the end of the day, you end up with something you like. So what's the issue? You got something you like it in the end. It's fine. Usually, the main reason you feel disappointed because like, oh, but I didn't pick these, isn't because the other options were better necessarily most of the time. It's just that you're focusing more on what you're losing instead of what you're gaining when you make the choice. But like not picking anything is picking doing nothing. Which in the end is the worst choice. The objective worst choice is choosing to not do anything, just sitting on a project that you wish you could do, and not doing it over and over. That is where real pain is. It's like, god damn it, I haven't finished. Or even the agony of going like, man, I really should work on this. I really should work on this. And then you start procrastinating. It's like, it's a whole mess. It's unnecessary. The freaking just do it. It's not as easy as just doing it, but at the same time, the solution in the end is just doing it after you... The answer is just doing it, but you have to figure that out for yourself. You can't just have a person yell at you, just do it. It's weird. But that's that. And yeah. So now I am taking advantage of the fact that Momochi's PC is still being like... yeah, her PC is working. We have like a little bit of electrical issues here in the office, so we need a no break to protect our PC from like energy oscillations that happen very frequently. If Momochi's PC gets plugged in directly on the outlet with like no breaks or nothing like that, it will randomly fizzle out. And that's not something you want your PC to be doing. You don't want to be working on something important and your PC just goes, bloop. Sorry, all your progress is gone. Right? So, because of that, I don't technically have any commissions at the moment. Meanwhile, Momochi has a few commissions of her own. So I was like, okay, you can use my power thingy for a while, and I'll find something else. And this is the project that I'm doing, because I can write for my game outside of my PC. I'm doing it with pen and paper and spit. And it's completely fine. The belt is gonna be a bit tricky. Yeah, the belt might be a bit tricky here. Okay, here. Go. So I am pretty excited to give this project another go. And I decided to rewrite it. So I'd make the commitment. Because if I have everything written down, when I'm making the game, I just have to transcript, like I was saying. I'll have a full story, I'll have how everything connects to each other, and if I feel like changing something, I'll use the Final Fantasy method of like only changing things that are like, you can allude to this extra in an extra scene or something like that for it to be fine and not get too stuck. Make the scenes work as they should, stuff like that. And I think it's gonna work fine. It's gonna work fine. Like, for instance, one thing that I was getting attached to in the older version of the game is there was this one section that was kind of supposed to be like a tutorial of how the game is played that I did that had like some silly goofy characters. It was kind of funny. Narratively, it served it had like a very low narrative purpose, right? And the characters that were introduced in that scene, they had like no bearing to the plot whatsoever. They were so just like dead weight. Like, they're cute, they're funny, they serve no purpose to the story. They're complete dead weight. And I was like, I even like was trying to write a like side quest only for those characters to have something to do. Because of how like literally pointless they were to the plot. It was sad. Okay, do we have ninjaling whiskey? I think we have ninjaling whiskey. All we need is the flour here. Could make it smaller, or I could make it really big too. There we go. Let's save. I do need to do shading on the pants. That is a bit too much shadow. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That looks really cute. Actually, let me do an extra thing here. Gotta do this to make sure I don't bite myself in the head later. There we go. Let's separate the head. What? Why not? Why aren't you pasting? Hmm. Layer selected properly. Select sprite. Copy. Paste. Okay. I don't know what that was about. But it's working properly now. So yeah, like every time I would like get into a hurdle, like the other thing that would happen very often when I was trying to work on my game before was I would like think up this really cool idea for a mechanic that I could put in the game. And then I wouldn't be able to put it in the game. And then I would get discouraged. Then I would like stop everything and then I would like try to think of something else. Then I would be like, but it would be really good if I had the thing. It was a whole mess. It was a whole mess. But yeah, I'm feeling confident this time. I'm feeling confident this time around. I think I'll be able to do it. But yeah, and that's it for me. That's it for me. Do you guys have any creative projects you've been working on, you've been struggling with, I wonder? There we go. Aha. Okay, so what did I do here? Just a second, I need to visualize this. Okay, so I made the sides slightly wider. And the arms stretch it a little bit further. Okay. So that is what I did. Okay, okay, okay. Figure it out, figure it out. So yeah, we lower this a bit. Can lower the line here a little bit. Man, I am kind of disappointed. The Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set came out, and they released Ultras, but Ultras isn't a build around. I kind of wanted to have a Ultras Commander deck. Not that I can afford one, mind you, but it would still be fun. I can still play it on Tabletop Simulator, you know? It would have been a fun experience too. But like I look at the power level of the card and it doesn't look like it's that incredible. It does stuff. It looks like it can be annoying. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the point of playing with Ultras isn't to like win any games, it's just to annoy your opponents with the tentacles. You just play a deck that the whole point is to keep tentacles lapping everyone on the board over and over. And be like, ha, I'm just like Ultras. Problem with Commander is because you're playing against a lot of people at once, if you are too annoying or too dangerous, you just get blown out of the game immediately. Usually I'm the type of person that has difficulties playing Commander. Because depending on the tabletop game I'm playing, this would happen a lot when my cousins were over. They always overestimated me in whatever board game we were playing. Whenever it was like something that's like PvP based. They always overestimate me. And because they always overestimate me, they tended to focus their aggro entirely on me, even when it made no sense to do so. Like, at the same time, I am flattered, but kind of annoying. That whenever I was playing with them, it's like I was playing, I don't know, 1v5, maybe 2v5 if Momochi was on the table, because Momochi is... She's just great. She will absolutely just target people at complete random. For no rhyme or reason. There are no alliances you can forge with her, there's nothing you can do. She is just there to vibe and cause mayhem. And that's why we love her. Hmm? Yeah, no, this is good. I'm hearing some movement outside. Lila wants to go out. I know, baby. I know. But I think people are moving about in the yard. And that's usually a sign that Lila should not go out. She might get in the way of something important. Which is why you're staying here. She doesn't understand English, but that's okay. Not like doggies really understand any language you speak with them. They speak doggies. You wanna talk to your dog, the vocabulary is very limited. It's like licking your nose to tell them to calm down. And that's pretty much about it. Unfortunately, that is mostly it. I mean, you could growl at your dog, but then again, you're growling at your dog, like what you're doing. Why would you growl at your dog? No, no. No, no. You're stuck. You're stuck, Missy. There, there, there. I'm giving her some head petals. She's very distraught by whatever's happening. Why? I don't know. She just is. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Man, Suikoden has been a blast to play. I've been having so much fun on the journey. It's been like... I don't know, it's been a bliss, it's been a bliss. It's one of those things like they don't make games like this anymore. Which is good, because there's a bunch of stuff that honestly could have been better. There's a bunch of stuff that could have been better. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that's like, no. This old game from like 20 years ago, it's absolutely the most perfect thing ever that was ever made. There are no flaws. This is peak design. It's not. It's not. It's really cool though. It's really cute. You gotta respect what they did for the with the medium at the time. Particularly, like, I love pixel art, but I will admit that sometimes pixel art is too cute, and trying to do like a very sad moment with pixel art doesn't necessarily work too well. Especially if all you have to work with are like some really goofy visual effects. I mean, I made fun of the death scene from Suikoden 1, where the father of the main character dies after they have a duel because the father wanted to make sure that his son was strong enough to keep going on the path. He could have done that without dying, by the way. I do feel like he was a little bit too... It's like a trope. It's kind of a dumb trope. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I do think it's very dumb that it happens the way it happens. But it's like, I am too full of honor, and my son has betrayed the Empire, but the Empire really isn't what it used to be, and I do agree that my son has chosen the right path, but it's a dangerous and... I don't know, hurtful path. So I am going to test him with my life to make sure he is following the right path for him or something. It was something along those lines. And then his soul gets teleported inside the rune, but the visual effect that they use for it looks like aliens have come to kidnap him. So I just thought that that was really, really funny. And I'm the first one to make fun of things that I think are goofy. With love, with kindness. I don't like, oh, this is goofy, I hate it. It's like, haha, this is goofy, funny. Funny fun times. Okay, let's see how the idle animation's going. Oh, we have a break here. There we go. And over here I forgot to recolor, which is absolutely fine. We can just recolor now. There we go. do think I want to add some extra color to the tail. There we go. But yeah, right now my commissions are free. I posted a your character here that I feel like I should have posted earlier because it was a... I should like do a little bit of a collision here where it closes the shirt a bit. Yeah. Because it was like a really good your character here for maid month. And I did that for maid month, but then I got completely swamped with commissions. So I ended up not posting it because I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to deliver these in time. And people are probably gonna want these for Mayday. So I posted it later. And like, it's fine. I don't think didn't have anyone interested in it yet. Usually with these, I get like 2-3 the others that I did, I got like 2 to 3 people interested almost like immediately, and then no extra business. So I do think that the opportunity for people to ask for this very soon is pretty much done. I will keep it with other ones. By the way, chat, any of my or character here that you may have seen before is still commissionable. I don't know if there's anyone here who wants to do commissions, but just to make sure we're on the same page. There we go. Oh man, today is July 1st, right? That's like important for American people. Isn't that Independence or something? So, happy Fireworks Day and stay safe. Personally, I don't like fireworks too much because they keep scaring my dog. It's kind of annoying. Like, I live in an area that you're not supposed to use fireworks. You're only supposed to use fireworks in the countryside, but people barely ever respect that law. And it's bad because it hurts my doggy's ears. And she gets like pretty scared. She has to take like a calming herb medicine thingy for her because she starts to have like panic attacks and she won't stop shaking. It gets a little bit scary. She needs help from the medicine to control her nerves, unfortunately. It's like a very light medicine. I don't really know what's in it. It's like homeopathic, so I'm not even entirely sure if it's supposed to work, but it kinda does. It's weird to talk about What's it named? Paleoactive? I don't think that's it. I think paleoactive is like if you're from like the... If you're like from caveman periods or something like that. Palliative. You know, the sugar pill thing. The sugar pill thing. You know the sugar pill thing, right? Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. You know the sugar pill thing. Yeah, that. Like, it's weird to think about that for a dog, because it's a dog. It's not gonna be like, ah, yes, medicine, I feel better now because medicine. I understand the concept of medicine. As far as I'm concerned, dogs don't understand really the concept of medicine. They're just like, why is human putting thing that tastes bad in my mouth? Ugh, I hate it. Ah, I feel better for some reason, weird. Probably unrelated. I mean, I'm a wolf, but you catch what I'm trying to say, right? I'm a very humanized wolf. Let's be honest here. So it's not the same as my doggo. Here we go. Yeah, this is ugly. We're gonna do this. So, let's see. Over this weekend, right? Because Momochi is bored, I took her out a little bit. There was, coincidentally, this gastronomic event around where I live, where it was all Asian food. And there were a few good things to eat. There was actually takoyaki there, and I was shocked because it was cheaper than what we usually pay for it. And so we got some of that, obviously, because takoyaki is like the best thing ever. Also, we got Korean hot dog, which you guys may be familiar with as corn dogs. Here in Brazil, we didn't have corn dogs until K-drama, because corn dogs are very popular in Korea. They have like their own version. I think it's their own version. It looks like a regular corn dog that I see in movies, but it has like a sweet taste to it. So I think it has uniqueness to it. It has like a unique flavor to it. It's like really, really good. It's really, really good. The dough was so much more lighter than I expected. And the sweet taste was also a surprise. Didn't really expect that. It mixed so well with the weenie. The weenie was like a regular weenie. The regular weenie that we buy at supermarkets and stuff like that. So obviously, it is like a little bit of an overpriced treat. Technically, it's made with supermarket weenies. But still, it was very tasty. It was very tasty. I appreciated it very much. And we also had... what's the name? Tempura. Tempura. Have you guys ever had tempura? Tempura is pretty good. Tempura is pretty good. Tempura is a type of it's like vegetables that are surrounded on a fried dough, right? Japanese people love to do this, by the way. Japanese culinary, basically what they do is they take something that maybe children wouldn't like very much, like vegetables and stuff like that. And then they're like, okay, let's deep fry it and see how it turns out. And it is pretty delicious. It had a single giant shrimp right in the middle. We split it in half because it's like really big. It's like, I forgot to tell, it's like really, really big. They basically pick up like a vegetable salad, not with like lettuce or anything like that, but with only with vegetables like carrots and cauliflower, stuff like that, and they deep fry it with a dough, and like all the vegetables are like sticking out of the dough, and it tastes so good. It just tastes so good. So we had that as well. Pretty good. What's pretty good? We had some mochi. We got mochi ice cream, which worked a little bit different than what we expected. Basically, it was a mochi that the filling was ice cream. So it was kind of messy to eat because we were trying to eat it with a spoon, and the mochi part was actually very hard. Actually very hard. So it ended up being a little bit messy because we had like pry it open sorta. But it was good. It was melon ice cream too. Very good, very tasty. And yeah, fun times, fun times. So here's what I'm gonna do. I can't really make the hair to go lower than this, but what I can do is I can increase the shadow to give the impression that the hair is receding, so like this. It kind of works. I need to do like a little bit better here. A little bit more here. Do that over here. And also, yeah, I can put more here. Over here, I can actually change the lines a little bit. Perfect. One other thing we also watched, we watched that K-pop Demon Slayer movie that dropped on Netflix. I don't know how long ago. Momochi got recommended that movie, so she was like, hey, I want to watch this on our free time. And I was like, okay, let's go. Pretty cute, pretty cute. Had a blast watching. Good fun times. Very like discovering yourself type of thing. Sorta empowering. Had like some themes of like being controlled by shame too, which I thought was interesting. Had fun, would watch again. Is my rating for that one. You know, my policy that a ninjaling is still a ninjaling is one of my favorite things because I can make Whiskey Naruto run, technically. So that's just an absolute win. That is just an absolute win. Little did you know, Whiskey, you gave me too much power. Little did you know. You've given me too much power and now you're Naruto run. But yeah, other than that, let's see. Oh, I did watch an anime recently. I did something that maybe I should do a little bit more often. I do that on occasion. I gave an anime a second chance. So there's this anime that is not particularly very good. Called I'm an evil galactic overlord in another world or something like that. It's one of the Isekai slop ones, you know. This one is kind of funny. The main reason this one was distinguishing itself from the pack was not the fact that it was well written, was not the fact that it was particularly funny. It just had the most deranged and unhinged backstory for the main character. Because, like, you've seen this 1,000 times. You've seen the character that's like, I'm a hard-working guy working on this project for this game. I worked so hard, I died. And now I am in the game world that I was developing or something like that. There's an anime called Death March to Another World or something like that, where that's the main plot. And that one is ass. Like, absolute ass. I remember that one had a protagonist that was kind of vile. The protagonist was kind of vile, but I know that the author was trying to make the protagonist to be a good guy. So it happened like one of those things that I feel like are blind spots on the author's part about what being good and being bad means. And he didn't like realize that some of the shit he wrote was actually unhinged shit. He was like, oh, this is absolutely normal. It's kind of like when an author has like a very overt fetish that he doesn't know is a fetish, right? And it's like, oh yeah, every man absolutely wants to, I don't know, lick between the pinky and the toe while the person has a yeast infection or something like that. And it's like, and like every character in the world agrees that that's the right thing to do, you know? And then you're like, what is happening? That sort of thing. That sort of thing. It happens very infrequently, but it does happen sometimes. Particularly in fantasy, it happens a lot. I feel like whenever like an author has like a kink or something like that, it for some reason it always comes out more often in fantasy works. Don't know why. That is just the way it is. But yeah, the character, like, that the character from that march was like 5 seconds in the story. He is in the new world, etc. He already got his obligatory grind to powerhood. Accidental grind to powerhood, may I add. Because that's the thing in Isekai. And he enters the town and he sees and he goes to the inn, and there's this very nice lady at the inn that treats him well, etc. And the first thought that comes through his mind is, oh, she kinda has a nice rack. If she was younger, I'd do her. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? It was so out of left field. It was so out of left field. After that, I couldn't like the protagonist. The lady was literally being nice to him. He like tunes out of her talking to him to go like, yeah, maybe if she was younger. She's a bit too old for me. If she was younger and not married, maybe I do her. Like, who cares, Wes? My reaction was literally, who cares, Wesker? It was so out of left field. It was so out of left field. After that, I couldn't really like the protagonist. He's also one of those that is like, oh, slave girls, don't worry, I'll treat you right. I'm gonna be a good owner. And like, Unless the story is like, because of political tension, I need to keep up appearances that I'm okay with this in this world, but secretly I am plotting to like get rid of this once I get enough like political power. I don't really wanna. I didn't really want a story engaging with that, you know? But that is me, that is my sensibility. I know that the main reason, and again, the main reason these even get brought up at all in these things is usually because of some sort of kink and a very, very misconstrued representation of what it is. Or maybe it's just because it's fantasy and it's power fulfillment and whatever, dude. At least I hope you know that this is not cool in real life, etc, etc, etc. If you can separate fantasy from reality, whatever floats your boat, man. But I don't know, I'm not my cup of tea. You'll understand if I'll leave now. Okay, bye-bye. That sort of stuff, you know? So yeah, I didn't watch that one very far. So this one, I talk about that one because this one starts in the most deranged way, where I think the author like Googled every single male how do I put it? The right term would be male anxiety. You put like every single possible male anxiety. Let's take every single possible male anxiety and make it this guy's backstory. No, there was one that wasn't there. There was the one male anxiety that wasn't there, which is like false accusations of sexual assault, which is something a lot of guys are actually anxious about. Because, well, honestly, it's a fear of like losing everything for something you didn't do, like getting accused of a crime you didn't commit or something like that. It's a common fear. It's not an uncommon fear. There are other implications to that, but I'll leave it at that for now. But the thing about that one was left out, but everything else, the guy basically, what's unhinged about the start is that the guy basically gets cucked to that into another world, essentially. The first part, after like a very confusing intro, that where people are exploding and you don't know anything that's happening, the rest of the first part of the anime is just an NTR anime minus the sex scenes. It's the guy realizing that his wife is cheating on him and that actually his daughter isn't his daughter. And then he finds out that the person she's cheating with him with is actually his boss. And then his boss hacks his PC and accuses him of diverting money when he didn't do anything. He was innocent. So his boss can run away with the money and his wife, and he is left working in in a construction site trying to pay the bills for the damages he caused. Instead of going to jail, which was interesting, come to think of it, shouldn't he have gone to jail instead of just having to pay the debt? Doesn't he have a debt to society, technically? To pay first before he pays his... Anyways. Was weird. They're like laughing maniacally about being evil, and then he gets visited by a demon. The show calls him the guide. It's straight up a demon. It feeds on negative energy of people. It is revealed that he set up the whole situation because he wanted to feed on the negative energy of not actually the guy himself. He wanted to feed off the negative energy of the cocky boss, because he was going to set up so everything was going right for him, and then everything goes wrong. So our protagonist was just used as a pawn, so the demon could feed from negative energy. But the demon decides that he isn't quite done with the protagonist, and offers him a trip to another world. This is all without him knowing that the demon's actually the one who is responsible for all his misfortunes. And like, you're gonna be isekai'd in another world. You can pick any genre of fiction and we'll make it happen just so you can be happy because I'm just that nice, right? Protagonist falls for it. Like, his daughter was like 7 or 8 and he didn't realize she wasn't his daughter for that long, which was really interesting because what prompted him to knowing that the daughter wasn't his was the blood test. because she didn't have the same blood type as him. And the thing with blood type is you usually get your father's blood type, right? So his blood type was AB, and his daughter blood type was O. And he discovers that because she gets in like an accident and she needs a transfusion. So they test her blood type and it's like, oh my god, this isn't her blood type isn't mine. What is happening? Meanwhile, I'm like, wait, hold up. How do you not know the blood type of your own daughter? How did that never come up? Do you know how accident-prone babies are? You know? Babies are super accident-prone. Like when I was little, I wanted a toy that was in an upper shelf. I was like 2. I climbed the shelf to get the toy, fell down, hit my eye in the corner of the table, and I was bleeding everywhere. There is no way that never came up before. Unless he was like such an absent parent, right? Which was a complaint that the woman had, that he was very absent. But then again, she like cheated him from then on, which was wow. Okay. We're not gonna get a very nuanced character out of you, are we? Okay. Moving on. But like, it's weird that he never noticed it before. It's very weird. It's very weird. This is very weird. I don't know. Maybe the whole absent father that's always absent on work trope in anime is a bit more extreme than I thought. I hear it is kind of like that, like the father works and the mother raises, essentially. To the point where the father is just MIA 90% of the time. It's how a lot of the harem anime get away with shit, you know? It's like, what if instead of one absent parent, you get 2? And also a stepsister. Yeah. Who's not related by blood. That's usually how they do it. Anyways. So yeah, it has like a really, really weird start, and that's why I kinda judge him very harshly. But here's the kicker. It takes a while, but once you're in like episode 4, the real intention of the author starts showing up. And this anime is minus some like absolute tonal whiplash moments. This anime is actually goofy as fuck. It is goofy as fuck. The whole premise was that the protagonist decided that caring about other people's happiness was for losers and he was going to be a bad guy in his new life. So that's like his goal. His goal is to be bad. Which is not a very admirable goal. But at the same time, whenever he encounters some sort of injustice, he gets like whiplash and flashbacks from his previous life and he's like, I can do this to this person. This person suffered just as me in my cuckolding days. I'm gonna help them instead. And he does the right thing. He ends up doing the right thing. He's like trying very hard to be villainous, But when push comes to shove, he do good things. He does good things. He does good things. And he has a robot maid that admittedly is 90% of the reason why he does those good things. Because he managed to kind of forge a pact with her where she obeys the laws of robotics exclusively for him. So she makes sure he doesn't make any dumb choices, even though he has the fantasy of being an evil villain, but all he does is like good things. And some of those good things are completely accidental. Like he thinks he is taking bribes from people because he really like gold. But he is actually living in a society where gold is like the least useful material in the world and no one cares about it. So he thinks he's taking bribes. Everyone else is like, why the fuck does that guy like gold? I don't know. But like, makes for a fun souvenir to give him. Look how happy he is. People just think it's an eccentricity and that they're humoring him. Meanwhile, he thinks he's becoming mega. He has like a dragon's hoard of treasure and it's like completely useless. And there was this one episode that actually made me laugh out loud. It was basically an episode where the butler and the robot maid just dumpster on the protagonist because he is trying to do some things that are more extravagant. So apparently, hello cutie cutie, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? Boop boop. Hope you're doing good. I was talking about trashy isekai anime that I rewatched recently, and I found reasons to actually like it. You did. Better luck next time. It is hot. Yes, it is very hot. For you, I'm freezing. I'm still freezing. Wanna trade? I wish I could trade. I wish I could trade. Do you have AC? I'm just asking. Like, I know that AC is kind of a little bit bad for you because it like dries up the air around you a lot, so not necessarily the best thing, but like sometimes it's like lesser of two evils, you know? You gotta pick one. Also, I talked about this earlier. I had my first corn dog ever. This weekend. Oh, that'd be smart. That would be very smart. Now you're thinking with portals. I think there's something I can do that's different here. Yeah. Like if I expand the shine a little bit. Take it. Yeah, I think that's fine. But yeah, I was surprised that I found myself enjoying the anime. It was actually extremely goofy. There's this one episode in particular. The protagonist is like talking about. I haven't actually finished watching that episode. I'm the kind of person who starts watching something and can just interrupt in the middle of the episodes and just get back to it later, which really helps when I'm watching a lot of anime. But there is this one episode where they basically the anime is taking a piss out of the protagonist, which is really good. The thing that I got me the most worried about the anime and its premise and everything else was that I was wondering whether the author was aware that the protagonist was misguided in his idea that because he had a bad life, he should take revenge on the universe by being a bad person. Because it doesn't really make much sense. It's like a premise that doesn't really make much sense. And the thing with isekai is that if you try to give the genre too much credit, you will end up disappointed a lot of the time. You will end up very disappointed. But no. The author is fully aware that the protagonist is kind of an idiot for thinking the way he thinks, and is more than willing to watch the protagonist crash and burn sometimes, or at least be a goofball. Like there are so many good goofball moments in that anime. There are so many good goofball moments. Like the demon, the whole point of the demon for reincarnating the guy was so that he could cause the protagonist to suffer. So everything that was given to him was actually a trap. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make you be born into royalty so you can get a head start in life. And he's like, yeah, okay. Then but the family he was born into is actually dirty broke. And the parents fuck it off and made him inherit everything. So he would inherit all their bills to pay. I have one AC, but it's hotter inside than outside. So the AC needs to work overtime. Even then it's just meh. I see. I see. I think because here in Brazil it's a priority, our air conditioners are like super powerful. Although I do cheat. My home, we installed recently solar panels. So the way that works is when it's sunny, the solar panel produces electricity, and it's a very good quality one. So basically we have, here in Brazil, there's a law for people who own solar panels that the excess electricity that is produced with the solar panels, it gets redistributed to other houses around you, and you still have access to the baseline electricity that the electric company provides you. And they can get some energy out of your excess too. And you only have to pay the minimum amount of the electric bill because you're doing this. And whenever the solar panel is not functioning, you get the electricity just normal. So the air conditioning working over time isn't too much of an issue because we produce because since we're powering it with solar energy, the electric bill doesn't increase. It was a very nice thing to do. It's like a very good system. That's kind of shit, but it's very much. I mean, that's like just good policy. That is just good policy. This is how environmental laws should be written more, right? You make it so helping the environment is helping yourself, right? Because it's not cheap to put one of these, to install one of these, right? But it pays itself after a while. So it's worth installing one in your house if you have the extra money, and the turnout from the electric bills just helps. Especially because we had to use the AC non-stop during the summer. It was just getting the heat was just too much. And since I live with people that need special medical attention. So if it gets too hot for them, they'll actually they could actually get fever and stuff like that. So it's like non-negotiable that they need access to air conditioning for health reasons. A roof doesn't support it, there's no other installed, then that is too bad. That is too bad. Yeah, that is also another issue. It's pretty big, right? It's pretty big. It can be clunky. I hope the technology gets there where you can either make it smaller or it can fit different sized roofs with different means better. There we go. Ah, how cute. We're looking to replace our roof, but that'd be expensive, 50k upwards. And then the panels, which is also not cheap over here. I'm pretty sure it's not cheap anywhere else. That is another thing that's a little bit that's unfortunate, is that this sort of stuff is still at the luxury phase, so to speak. Solar power technology becomes like more accessible. I think it's like just a win-win for everyone. Because the person owning it can actually help power other houses. So it's less of a burden on the electric lines, right? Produce more energy. So on and so forth. But that's just my environmental management measure speaking right now. Don't mind it too much. But yeah, if you ever like get the opportunity, it's good business. But like, I won't sell you like redoing your whole roof for it just yet. I also don't know how it would work in your country, if your country would have similar laws. Which I think are very important for making the deal, making it a good deal. But so back to the dumb anime. So main character dude decides that he wants to like have like an orgy hall or something where I don't know, that it's something about having meat hanging. What was the name of the anime? It's like in my next life I'm gonna be a galactic overlord, something like that. Let me actually get the true name. I'm gonna be a galactic overlord. I'm the evil lord of an intergalactic empire. And also the title of the first review video that appeared is "This anime is a mess, but you should watch it anyways." Which I agree with the sentiment. Like, you absolutely don't have to. I don't think you have to. But if you can bear through some of the bullshit, it can be surprisingly fun. Have seen anime. Makes sense. It makes sense. Honestly, it's a very uninspired poster outside of like the maid with big booba. You're basically getting what? Discount Lelouch out of that art. The protagonist straight up looks like a discount Lelouch. And in many respects he is. But the anime is super goofy. It only has some problems with tonality whiplash. Because it's like, you have... Okay, so... spoiler alert, and I guess trigger a little bit of trigger warning. I'll try to make this as brazen as possible so it doesn't trigger anyone. But... basically, you have one episode where the protagonist is being duped by a folk samurai guy who is like selling him his botched sword art style as if it's true. And it's going like, ah, yes, the way of the flash, the way of the flash sword is super powerful, etc, etc, etc. And he is like, and it cuts to the guy, and the guy is like, ah, I found an easy marking. It's free food, and I rigged the... He like does the yai thing, where he cuts a bunch of logs at the same time from far away. And then it's revealed that it was actually just a magic trick, but the protagonist doesn't know. So the protagonist keeps training, trying to understand how to do the thing that is impossible to do. It was literally just a magic trick. But then the extremely goofball moment happens, where the protagonist is like, wait a second, this is a world with magic. It seems impossible, because my sensei actually channeled magic into his sword. And then the protagonist just spent several years training to learn mana manipulation so he can actually channel his mana into his sword and is actually able to perform the skill that his master didn't know existed. He teached it completely by accident. And that's completely goofy. That is completely goofy. Guy got tricked so hard by a con artist, the con became true. That is absurdly goofy. But then, on the other episode, there's a group of pirates. They attack an innocent planet. They kidnap the princess of the planet. They make the princess watch the planet explode while she cries because the guy is a sadist. And he keeps her as prisoner in his personal collection of body horrors where a mad scientist experiments on her. And it's all very gruesome, it's all very triggering. No sexual assault, actually. The guy's kink is just to watch, apparently. But doesn't really make it much better. What he's doing is like very... you know? And eventually she's gonna get rescued, everything is gonna be alright, they'll be able to heal up her body, etc. But still, like, for like a brief moment, shit like just gets extremely serious when the protagonist is away. And then the protagonist come back and everything is goofy again. So it does the tonal whiplash thing a lot. Which is why I don't necessarily recommend it for everyone. But it's an absolute mess of a show. It's an absolute mess of a show. Basically, there is also kind of a struggle for the protagonist's soul going on because the demon tricked him and put him in this world. But the demon doesn't watch the world the whole time, so he kind of like leaves obstacles for the protagonist to cause him pain and misery. But secretly, there is the protagonist's actual soul guide also entered the world, and he keeps like guiding the protagonist towards doing good things and overcoming the obstacles. The obstacles the protagonist overcomes by himself mostly. What the spirit guide does is just guides him towards doing good in the world instead of doing the evil things he thinks he wants, but he doesn't really want. He kind of has like a very, very kindergarten understanding of what being evil is. But yeah, so that's the show. If it interests you, there you go. If it doesn't, I completely understand. And now my doggo needs to go outside, so BRB, I'll be right back. But yeah, I managed... Okay, the 3, 2, 1. There we go. Ha, I am back. So yeah, I managed to actually go farther on that one, and I don't regret it necessarily. I might watch it till the end and I can tell what I actually think of it. I will say that I underestimated the author a little bit too much. I also have this bad habit. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't like judge the author too much for what he's writing. I do have this meta-analysis bad habit thing that I gotten from watching too much isekai. Or just from Oreimoto. Honestly, I think it was from Oreimoto. Because it was an anime that was like, no guys, this is totally not gonna be about about like banging your sister or anything like that. And then, turns out it was about banging your sister and marrying her too. And then the same author goes around and does another anime that has the exact premise. Which was the one that I can't believe my sister is this cute, I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, was the one. Which is kinda icky. That one anime can be rewritten into like this amazing thriller. I once watched an isekai that had several gifted kids on a plane transported to a different world and basically broke the game. Was it called something obvious like, watch out, the gifted kids are coming to another world or something like that? I think there was a guy who was like some sort of hyper game master or something like that. And I think there was a girl in bunny suit involved too. Like their guide to the other world was like a girl in bunny suit. I think I watched one episode of that. I think I watched one whole episode of that. Yeah. It's like, it's very foggy, but I think I remember that one. Yeah, we are reaching a point where there's just so much isekai that it's hard to... I find it pretty funny that we're reaching like a melting point of like just having too much isekai, and there are still people who write their isekai acting like it's a novel concept. You know? It's like, I don't know, but there's usually like a tutorial stage where the guy's like, what? Other worlds exist? I can be reincarnated into another world? In one episode, the genius engineer built an ICBM nuke in 7 days or something saying like that. Yo, I think I remember that one. I actually remember that one. Yeah, there's like a genius politician that like solves the conflict with like the most basic ass policy of all times that barely makes sense or something like that. And then he solved racisms in 7 easy steps. Yeah, no, I remember that one. I like don't remember anything about what actually happens. I do remember this one scene. And I remember going like, oh, bullshit. Yeah, no, I remember that one. It was definitely an isekai of all time. I completely forgot about that one. That one was very deep. Cutie Kitty, that one was buried so deep. That whole anime was bad, sort of. It's one of those anime that's kind of bad, but in an amusing way, so it can absolutely be like a guilty pleasure of sorts. Right? Where sometimes you're watching, you're like, I can't believe this is happening. What happens next? Can't believe that just happened. What's next? I absolutely get that. I absolutely get that. I do that a lot, actually. I enjoyed it for entertainment, that is it. That is absolutely fair. That is absolutely fair. You know, the main philosophy when it I don't know if you know this, the main philosophy when it comes down to anime storytelling is basically defined by one Japanese word. Omoshiroi. Omoshiroi basically means, wow, that's interesting. So, as long as something is interesting and not boring, that's valid storytelling. The important thing is for you to tell a story that's gonna make people go, oh, omoshiroi! You know? And that is why anime can be the way it is. Sometimes they don't bog down with too much of the logic, you know? It really is just about making the reader go, oh, interesting, what happens next? And I find that very valid, and like, one thing that I really like about anime is just that it just allows you to tell some batshit insane stories. And not really care if the tone is too childish or if it's too violent or anything like that. It's just like, is it interesting? If it is, keep doing it. And then they get sucked into a video game. How they get sucked into a video game? Who cares? Let's make it cool. As long as we can make it cool, it's fine. That's also why some anime will like completely fall flat. Because they're trying to make it interesting, but they fail. And then you get something boring that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. That is like the worst outcome for an anime. That is how you get me with my smartphone in another world. Or the something in Harrier of Ragnarok. That one was another isekai with a smartphone in another world. I can't wait for a protagonist that gets isekai'd in another world with ChatGPT. Because that is completely bound to happen at this point. You know what? That should be Elon Musk's anime. Elon Musk gets isekai'd into another world with Gronk, and then his life is horrible because Gronk is worthless and he relies on Gronk for everything and it doesn't work. That could be a nice comedy. Actually, I mean, there is an AI in it, but there is an anime like that. I think it was called Black Company in Another World or something like that. It's the story of... In another note, do you the difference between hardwood and softwood, not in a sexual sense? There's a non-sexual sense? I'm just kidding. I know that hardwood in Portuguese is madeira maciça. Madeira maciça. It's like compacted, right? No, I'm thinking of processed wood. No, but I think it's compacted. Or is it because of the quality? Actually, I don't. I don't think I do. I don't think I do. I thought of 3 or 4 different possibilities. If I think, am I thinking of too many possibilities? I probably don't know what I'm talking about. If I am thinking of too many possibilities, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. I do know that... Right, then I know how to describe it. Oh, nice. I completely forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, anime is fun. I watched the old Trigun recently too. Rocky Muskie and Isekai. Yeah. So there was this anime. I didn't watch a whole lot of it. For no reason other that there were other things to watch, honestly. But it wasn't bad. It was this anime about this guy who, like, got rich through illicit means. So, for the sake of keeping the conversation relevant, he made a fortune in the NFT market. Let's say he made a fortune in the NFT market. And he was, like, looking down out of his penthouse going like, ha, look at those silly peasants doing work. I got all this in the NFT market and didn't have to do anything. And now, thanks to my highly optimized life, Sigma life, I will never have to work hard in the day of my life. I am so lucky. Mwahahahaha. And then he slips in his bathtub and falls off the window. Dead. Then he reincarnates in another world and has to work as an adventurer. But adventuring in that other world is a lot like have you work at the mines. And he is like, oh my god, I have to work now. This is terrible. I need to do anything I can to get out of working. But if I don't work here, I'll just die. They'll literally kill me. You know, that kind of stuff. So basically, it follows along the story of this smart-ass protagonist that thinks he's better than everyone else, trying to find ways to avoid work, but only getting himself in situations where he accrues more debt and has to work harder. He also gets a demon wife that, if he doesn't feed regularly, will actually cannibalize him. And no, he doesn't get like any fun service from her. He just gets the constant life for that threat. Because the author really doesn't like people like that. So there you go. That's an anime. That's an anime that has a rich billionaire getting isekai'd in another world and being forced to actually do hard labor for once. And he's gonna keep trying to get wacky schemes to get out of it and gonna fail horribly. That's the Elon Musk isekai. Which is like a thing that I think at this point, I think every isekai idea that could have been written has been written. I am pretty sure. But I don't know, people will find a way to remix it. People will always find a way to remix it. One thing that they are trying to do nowadays, I saw one episode. Basically, what they're trying to do now is, I have seen 3 like this already. They're animes where the protagonist uses it to work at a company, and instead of like just hating his job or something like that, he was actually a pretty competent worker. Maybe sometimes he was just getting his first promotion, and unfortunately he dies. And then he goes into another world. And now he needs to use his expertise and knowledge in business to get by. So like, okay, grovel like a Japanese salaryman so people can give you help. Stuff like that. There is one that is way more literal with the concept. It was the first one that I watched that was really funny. But like very low budget too. Which was one where the guy gets literally summoned by a demon lord because the demon lord is having trouble running his demon army. And so the guy will use several simple logistic solutions in order to help the demon lord out with his troubles managing his orc army or whatever. The waifus are pretty decent in that one, not gonna lie. Nothing particularly like amazing or awe-inspiring, but all around nice, and it's kind of a funny premise, if a little bit mild. Did you know the book series Odyssey by Homerus in around 1800s technically an isekai? Really? I mean, isn't technically every tale where they go into the underworld an isekai? If you stop to think about it. Isekai is a surprisingly broad genre. I think I remember I saw like a copy paste of a guy who was doing like reductionist work on isekai, saying that every isekai is either an Alice in Wonderland or a Chronicles of Narnia. Which I think the key idea is that every isekai story is you are either enjoying your adventures in another world or you're in a hostile another world that you want to escape by any means necessary. You want to know an isekai that got buried in time? A very old isekai that got buried in time. That is actually kind of interesting. Not that interesting, but it was kind of interesting. It was well done too. Escaflowne. Mm. Oh, you did! Oh my god, Kikiri. Yes, Scaflone. I actually watched it. It was part of my Weeb training program back when I first discovered that anime was a thing that could be watched. And I got into my first anime convention, right? I found this store that sold a bunch of bootleg DVDs. And I just bought every single one that was from a series that I have heard before. Because here in Brazil, right? Here in Brazil, something interesting existed. There were these anime magazines that would discuss. I think I watched it bits and pieces, so I can't say it's an isekai. It is an isekai. It is an isekai. Girl runs really hard on a track, accidentally opens a portal to another world. Remember, you don't have to die for it to be an isekai. You just have to enter another world. And it's her journey, wanting to go back home, but at the same time, she becomes kind of this prophet. She basically has the gift of prophecy while she's in the other world. So the night there's this kingdom that is at war with this guy that wants to rule the world, and they're all fighting in mechas, right? And she has this gift of prophecy, and they need her in order to win the war. Yeah, it's an isekai mecha anime. Okay. Also, I think I watched the end of it now that I think about it. You watched everything out of order? That makes sense. Yeah, the bigger plot twist was that the villain was also someone that came from another world, and he had like the power, or he knew a way to liquefy luck. So he had these generals that were these really hot cat ladies, and they were injected with liquid luck. So they were very hard to fight against, because every time you try to hit them, something would go wrong with, like, the weapon would misfire, the robot would tilt out, stuff like that would happen. And I think there was like some weird baked-in moral about the power of luck versus the power of hard work. But it wasn't a video I got from a friend that may or may not have been acquired legally. That is fair, that is fair. I don't like try to cover it too much, because here in Brazil, honestly, there was no legal distribution. There was no legal distribution. Like, they didn't care too much about us as a market at the time. Like, I have a Crunchyroll subscription. I don't go to that kind of site anymore. But that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I remember it was pretty neat. It was a pretty neat show. I think Escaflowne is on Crunchyroll. You know, I did buy a completely legal CD that they actually released it here in Brazil for an anime. It was called Record of Lodoss War, which is like a very influential fantasy anime. And it's very D&D-ish. Has a lot of tropes. Like the hot elf girl trope pretty much was made by this anime. The archetypal hot elf girl came from this anime. Came from Delit, is her name. And she is a cutie. She even does the thing where her ears vibrate. This is my first anime that I watched in the mid-90s. Yeah. It's super influential. But here's what happened. There were others, but they're not colored anime for that. I see. Here is what happened. So I bought the DVD, right? I watched it halfway, right? Then I forgot it inside my DVD, my DVD apparatus for a little while. Then I was like, wait, I forgot. Let me take it out. So I took it out. Technically, Magic Knight Rayart is an isekai. Hello again, Lunatic. And also, it's pretty neat. I like the manga better though. I do like the manga better. Then I took the Lodoss DVD out, and then I put it on the DVD case. And when I tried to squeeze it in so it would go in the pin, the DVD shattered into 1,000 pieces, and I could never watch the ending. I never watched the ending of the anime. I was so frustrated. I was like, I guess it's destiny. I'm not supposed to watch that. What the frick? It was an original DVD, but the quality was terrible. The quality was terrible. It like shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. Technically, it is an isekai. Yeah, no, it is an isekai. It's just that, I don't know, like, technically the isekai... Isekai is like a weird term, right? Isn't isekai like a really weird term? Because what popularized modern isekai wasn't even an isekai. It was Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online is not an isekai. Technically, there's a game world involved, I'll give you that. El Hazard, that's true. El Hazard was one that was popular. I never watched El Hazard. So Kiba, I was checking Barotrauma mods again, and the Abnormality mod added Zilu and Lang. And ooh, really? That's cool. No, yeah, Rayart is absolutely. It's also a very subversive isekai. Gate isn't an isekai, even though there's another world involved, it isn't an isekai. I think that actually varies with the definition. I am curious, actually. Kitty. Why in your definition... Gate is the one with the guys who are like... It is like the military, the Japan defense forces like fight some orcs that came out of a gate, and then they go into the gate to explore to see if there is like any additional risk. And then there is like this cute that priestess that has cat ears. That's the one, right? I watched some episodes of it. Didn't really hook me on for some reason, now that I think about it. But I am curious, what makes it not an isekai for you, Kirikiri? Why do you think that it's not an isekai? Has talent trees for Den and also Hisho Pack Mao and Sweet Branch. Wait, really? So Borrow Trauma and not the... what was the name? Starve... Don't Starve Alone. Or Starve... Was it Don't Starve Together? You know, the Don't Starve one. The one where you're not supposed to starve, because starving is bad. But I am actually curious, what is your definition of an isekai? Because in my definition of an isekai, it would definitely fit as an isekai. But then again, they don't actually get locked inside, right? Is that why? In order to be an isekai, instead of just having another world involved, the protagonist also needs to be stuck in the isekai for some reason. Don't Starve Together, the one that has a... Don't Starve Together, that one hasn't had the mod updated. Ah, I see. But yeah, I am curious, what is the definition of an isekai that Gate doesn't fit into? Because it feels like isekai. It tastes like isekai. Did they use substitute ingredients so it's not an isekai? What happens there? I'm curious. I'm a curious wolf right now. Let me test something. Let's see, what is it like if I dance while I'm sitting? I love these musics way too much. Okay, enough dancing, I need to work. I say as I continue to dance a little bit. It's nice that you're having fun with toggle. It is a fun toggle. It is a fun toggle. Also, I discovered something funny. Hold up. I need to show this. It's a little bit of an immersion break, but it's still funny. Hold up. Where is it? I think I put it as flirty, but really it's dancing. Where is it? Yeah, this is the one. Ah, no. I didn't do that much. Yeah, I thought I... Don't mind some of these. Anyways, never mind. This is a little bit too much. Anyways. Y'all didn't see boob pasties on the things. Anyways. I thought I upped the physics of the booba while the toggle was on, but... Nope, it just moves like this, normally. That would have been like a hilarious feature though, like being able to toggle the booba physic on demand. Man, I had the dumbest idea for a Persona game. It's like, instead of playing a protagonist that goes out and has an active social life, you play as a protagonist that all they do is watch streamers all day, and instead of leveling up your social links, you level up your parasocial links by watching too many people. You made an awkward post towards streamer X. Your parasocial link has gone up. That reminds me, I think there is actually a horror game that's gonna come out at one point, where the whole point of the game is for you to... is that you're trying to woo a streamer girl, but at the same time, you are actually toxic, a toxic person leading a very unhealthy life. And you gain money by gambling, and then you give away all your money on super chats for the girl. And it's like a unhealthy, obsessive simulation. It's really creepy. And the streamer girl has like this incredibly toxic chat too. I don't know what the person, what was the point of the person who made that was trying to make, but it looked very curious. It looked very curious. And it's not needy girl or friend overdose either. Hold up. In my opinion, well, the main character is in another world. They didn't go there through magical means. Like, it appears and they just stay put. It's just stay puts. On both sides of base is set up, and people can come and go. Everyone can come and go. In my definition, there needs to be a limit to that, either by system or by amount. Therefore, in my opinion, Gate isn't an isekai. Ah. So, by your definition, and that's actually a pretty good definition, by the way. An isekai story isn't just a story about another world existing. It's a story about getting stuck in another world. If a story doesn't have the stuck element to it, it by definition is not an isekai story and more of a fantasy story that has like an adjacent extra world to it. That correct? You know what? That is I think that's a good point. I think that's valid. Yeah, Planes of Existence tabletop RPG. Otherwise, every tabletop RPG you ever played would technically be an isekai, because you can technically go to the plane of, I don't know, mazes and kitchenware. I think there's like one plane of existence that the goddess who runs it like literally likes to teleport people randomly in and out of it, right? I think I read something like that. Somewhere, sometime in a faraway galaxy. That there is this one plane where there's this goddess that likes to randomly trap people in her domain. And the only way to go out is if you beat her maze. It's like a dungeon. So most people just kind of hang out and live off stuff that gets dragged into the other world. Although that one is actually an isekai. Is the definition of getting stuck in another world than first star movie from Marvel is an isekai. Isn't it though? But isn't it though? And so is the 80s He-Man movie. Did you guys know that there was an 80s He-Man movie? I do. You know why? Because it was repeated. It was on rerun repeat to hell throughout the whole 90s up to the 2000s here in Brazil in Open TV. Although if you get stuck in the plane of air, is that an isekai? I mean, it is. I think it is. What happens in the plane of air? Do you just like keep falling? Since there's only air there and there is no ground? You just go, every day I'm falling, falling, falling. Every day I'm falling, falling, falling. That sounds so sucky. That's like the karmic end for the villain who's afraid of heights. You trap him in the plane of air and he just falls indefinitely. Ultimate revenge. If there is no ground, are you really falling? Is there gravity in the plane of air? Hold up. You can fall if there is no ground. Technically, that's what being adrift in space is. Technically, you're just endlessly falling. You know? I mean, technically there is a floor somewhere and it's calling out to you. You just don't know when you're gonna reach it. But there are clumps of other elemental planes in each plane, so you can get floating chunks of ground or water. Ah. Neat thing about the plane of air is gravity is suggestive. Oh, subjective. I read gravity is suggestive and I was like, ah, I see, you get attracted by boobas. Makes sense, makes sense. But guys, I gotta say, it feels like my collab with Momochi is cursed. Like, every time we try to make a collab, either her PC like explodes. Her PC chunk keeps exploding. I mean, if you think the boobas are down, you fall to them. There you go. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That life hacks, right there. Those are the true life hacks, lunatic. Those are the true life hacks. Getting attracted to by boobas is based. I am attracted to them and I have them, so I broke physics? Perhaps. Dun, 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 dun. Dun dun dun. The logic conundrums. Okay, so first things first here. But changing your gravity direction is difficult, since you need to convince yourself that X direction is down. Only really relatives to plane of air can do it at active effort, and enlightened monks can do it conscious as well. The way I would do it, and this would be a very limited way. Pick a random direction that is down. It is down now. You fall in that direction. Try to find any pieces of ground. When you see a piece of ground, you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's a piece of ground. I should be attracted to the piece of ground. Therefore, that piece of ground is where down is. And then you can theoretically redirect based on your own logic. I think it's possible. Without being like a master monk, you can just be like, oh, I was wrong. This is the real place. But then you'd get stuck in the land. I wouldn't be able to try to convince myself that any place that didn't have a piece of ground would be down. But I think I could be able to trick myself that much, at least. Man, that actually remind me... But you see, you're already falling. Why wouldn't the direction you're falling be down? Okay, so that depends on how much meta-knowledge I have, right? Regarding how the gravity works in this plane. If I have no knowledge of how the gravity works in this plane, then technically I wouldn't be able to convince myself. True. It takes like meta-knowledge of how it works for you to try to trick yourself. Man, this is why they nerfed Malkavians, by the way. In Vampire the Masquerade. They were going for something and they accidentally created the most OP vampire race ever. They were going for Eldritch Horror, they got something completely goofy instead. Something that's both goofy and overpowered. What do you guys know about Vampire the Masquerade? Alright, you can also convince yourself there is no down so you don't fall. Ah, interesting. Yeah, I think the first issue that you'd run into is understanding why you would want to convince yourself about directions. Because like the only thought that you would really have, if you're like completely oblivious to how the planes work, is why can't I fall in that direction instead? At least there's some ground there, right? That's like the most that you're going to think of, realistically speaking. By the way, chat, last time I went to my singing lesson, I have found my hardest song to beat yet. The song that has truly challenged my capacity for singing. And its take on me. That note of I'll be gone, not doing it. I haven't been able to do it. My teacher will actually give me like special special exercises for me to practice so I can try to reach that note. But that's extra hard. It's common knowledge to the native of the plane, but people not native to the plane, it's a little known fact. Oh, sorry. Voice failed for a second there. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It's a thing that has to, like, happen also. Where if you're, like, gonna have an adventure in that kind of plane... By the way, chat, I'm not gonna make any promises, but I have been toying around with the idea of trying to make a one-shot RPG campaign during a Scuff Day. Not gonna say the next, during a Scuff Day, where we use the Brazilian RPG system. It's gonna have to be set in 2 different RPGs, 2 different days, because we're gonna need like a season 0 to like make characters for everyone who shows up. And pray to God that in the next time Scuff Day comes around, everyone who made their character joined. Unless I can somehow create like a video game-ish system where making the characters quick. Or like some pre-built characters would also work, I suppose. So if you can make someone in the plane, or if you happen to someone falling like the opposite direction, think, huh, that's weird, outside panic of falling at very high velocity with the wind rushing past. That sounds so funny though. You're falling and then you find someone else falling and you're like, oh, that's weird. Anyways, that sounds really funny. I kind of love that visually. Because that's also something, remember as well, you're falling, not flying. You know, the goblin word for flying means falling slowly. It said so in a magic card. It said so in a magic card. That aside though, I can see that being extremely tricky. I used to have a goblin deck in Magic the Gathering long time ago. I thought they were pretty neat. Just a bunch of funny little guys doing weird shit. And randomly being very aggressive. I still remember that my best unit in that deck was like this one guy with a backpack that was a catapult. He had a catapult backpack, and there were all these little other goblins wearing arrow-shaped helmets, and they were being flung by the guy. It is a shame they are Figma. There are very different interpretations of goblins. I like the ones where they're kind of derpy little guys that are very self-destructive. Fuck my balls. It's kind of funny though. I never knew people were horny for goblin women until I joined the VTuber community. Goblin these nuts. Mind goblin these nuts. Well, I have to head out to sleep now. Hope you have a good stream, but good luck with pixel art. I'll get into ringing soon TM. I'm just super busy to work. No worries, Lunatic. Whenever you're ready, I really appreciate it. And you kind of already told me what you would want to get back as payment, but like if you like think up something else, let me know before I get started on it, okay? Alrighty. Good. I feel like I had an idea and I forgot. You had one that involved Scarlet, if I'm not mistaken. But like, I don't know, that idea feels like a lot more of a fan art for Scarlet than something for you. That is, of course, if you like that, that's completely valid, but I don't know. But like, it's why I'm like giving you some time to digest it, you know? Here we go. So, Kitty, by the way, you said you had a commission for me. First of all, thank you very much for that. I will check it out later. I might be a little bit delayed when I can start it, because right now me and Momochi are sharing a single power source for the PCs. So only one of us can work at a time. It should be resolved soon, but I don't know exactly when. So if the progress is a bit slow, at least you know why. But it's okay, I can absolutely handle whatever it is. Let me see. How did I do this? Yeah, no, I see. Okay, so this one is easy. Oh, no worries. The heat I don't really work on. It. If you do have any questions, just let me know. No problem. I absolutely will. And as usual, thank you for choosing me. Oh yeah, Kitty Kitty. I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if you caught it, but I thought it was like kind of inspirational. Uh, it makes the art consistent. I saw a story of what was the process behind the making of Final Fantasy VII. And I was really surprised to find out that several important plot elements were like last on additions, including Zack. Zack was such a last-minute addition that he was barely non-existent in the Japanese version. They actually added extra content in the international version. Really. Like, apparently, this according to the video that I saw. If the video that I saw is wrong, then unfortunately I'm wrong. But the way they did it is they had several teams that were responsible for writing different parts of the game, right? So there was an entire team that was working on the Chocobo racing. There was a team that was devoted entirely to working on the Gold Saucer, stuff like that, right? And apparently, the original idea for Cloud's true origin, because Cloud's origin being mysterious was something that they knew was going to be a thing in the story, but they actually didn't know what they were going to do with Cloud at that point. Interestingly enough. That was like a plot point that they were kind of like, we'll figure it out later. And at one point, the idea was that Cloud was actually a shadow of Sephiroth. That he got like torn after Sephiroth like croaked in the Nibelheim incident. So yeah, that was a thing. But like, it wasn't like a thing that they were really too satisfied with, and the guy had the idea to bring Zack along for the ride, Zack's story. But since it was such a late game addition to the story, they couldn't develop Zack properly. So that one game that they made that for the Game Boy not Game Boy, the PS Vita, it was actually the story that they wanted to develop for Zack. There we go, very cute. So basically, since the teams were working on the parts of the story separately, they had like only a nebulous guide of stuff that was supposed to happen, and they had a complete guide of what the characters' personalities were supposed to be. So they all wrote those things separately, and then they all were brought together, and like little additions were like, okay, can you please add an NPC that hints this thing? Can you add a line of dialogue about Aerith having an ex-boyfriend? In fact, that line about Aerith having an ex-boyfriend, did you know it was supposed to be Sephiroth? In the version where Zack didn't exist, Aerith's ex was Sephiroth. And I don't know if it's like a weird allusion to it. You can kind of see that there's like some weird tension going on between both of them in the remake. that feels a little bit more than just the fact that they are technically villainous rivals, you know? They're rivals. She's a good guy and he is a villain, kind of stuff. Isn't it? Because like in the original idea was that Cloud was meant to be a part of Sephiroth. Sephiroth even hints at this several times throughout the game if you stop to think about it. Sephiroth goes like, ha ha ha, you don't know who you truly are? Isn't it time you wake up and join me? You know, that kind of stuff. Nice, cutie kitty. That is very nice. So yeah, that's what all that is. That is what all that is supposed to be. So I will say though, now knowing the alternative, I like that Zack exists a lot in the story. He really ties up the plot better. His existence ties up the plot way better than like the shadow of Sephiroth. It feels like, okay, what's that supposed to be? It's interesting. It's interesting. I kind of love having found that video at complete random. It actually gave me some gas to try and write up the story of my own game again. I decided to start from scratch because I felt that ultimately I had started the project doing things in a way that would make it too hard for me in particular to finish it. I think I already talked about this on stream before. I don't know if you were here, but yeah, that gave me some inspiration. That gave me some inspiration. A story is good, but remember, Kitty Kitty, unless your focus is very narrative-centric, the most important part is having a fulfilling game loop. That actually reminds me of something really funny that happened with me when I was playing the first Suikoden game. I missed a QE for where I was supposed to go in the story right at the beginning of the game, and I ended up going outside the area I was supposed to go, and I just started walking around at random at a map that didn't have any events queued for me. So I just started exploring random abandoned ruins and leveling up my character. And it was like really hard because the level of enemies wasn't like optimized for the level that I was in, but I could defeat some of the weaker enemies. So I was literally hunting for random mobs that I could kill. And there was this very survival-ish feeling that I was getting from it. And it was weirdly satisfying. I did had a question that asked me, what is the game about? What is the story? I mean, it is a good idea to think about the story. But remember that sometimes the story can be something as simple as a plumber trying to save a lady from a dragon. Although nowadays you would have to make it like slightly comedy if you're going that route, simple route, because most people expect that there to be like a funny twist if you're going for a too simple. But at the end, it does come down to how do you interact with what is your character, how is your character interacting with the world around it, and what kind of impact you want your character to have in your world, for instance, right? If your character is running around killing things, is he running around killing the right things to kill or the wrong things to kill? Because that will determine if your main character is your main character's alignment, right? If your character is running around killing things that he shouldn't kill, then you have an anti-hero story. If your character is running around killing things that are completely acceptable, then you have a you already have two things. First off, usually killing things isn't necessarily considered nice, so you have to think, why would killing things be necessary? And then you can have already an archetype of either game loop's not bad, but hack and slash that isn't really my vibe. Also, it is needed for some quests. BRB. Alright. I think there is like I think I could come up with like a way to how to figure out what your plot is based on what your character do and does not do. I think there's definitely a way to engineer that. Like, is the point to get into battles? Is the point to avoid battles? You know, that kind of stuff. But I'll relay that to Cutie Kitty when they come back. For now, we keep focusing here. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Man, the music, how can a game Flipwitch is an aberration. Flipwitch is an aberration. The music is just too good. The music is so good and nuanced. It's like good feels, you know? There was so much care and love put into making this game, and most games like it are more like cynical entries more than anything. It's one of those things where it's like, they really didn't have to, but they did. What I'm saying. It's almost a shame that there isn't like a safe for work mode so it can be played on Twitch. If I am being downright honest, One game that I think still doesn't have a remake that makes justice to it is Final Fantasy VI. It frustrates me a lot, unfortunately. It's kind of funny. When the Final Fantasy VI remake came out, there was an uproar from a community I barely knew existed, which was the pixel artist community. Because apparently Final Fantasy VI sprites are basically reference for a bunch of pixel artists on like being a masterclass on how to do concise and effective shading. And the sprites that they did for the remaster are not that. They are not that. Absolutely not that. They are not good. They are not good. Specifically in the shading department. Proportion-wise, I think they're fine. And I actually don't say this in like a way like to offend the artist, because my dude, I figured out, I know why you did it, and I know it wasn't your fault. I know this the order for it came from the top. Because the thing that happened with Final Fantasy VI is that the original sprites were pretty great. They were pretty great. Obviously, they were made in a different time with different technologies, so can you technically make them better? Technically, yes. I'm pretty sure there has been enough advancement in pixel art in general and in every other aspect that you could make certain proportions better, maybe less clunky, a little bit here and there, do some touch-ups and stuff like that. I don't think you would need to do too much work for it, because part of the charm of the sprites is the nostalgia. So straying too far is not necessarily, it's not really a smart financial decision, right? You don't really have to go that far fixing it. Maybe like some small adjustments, which is like the thing. When you make remakes, right? There isn't something, you can't go too far with changes, because you need to also preserve the feeling of nostalgia. It's not about making something as accurate as it was back then. It's not about modernizing the entire experience. It's about providing an experience that feels like what you played when you were little. That's how you get like the true nostalgia. You squeeze out that nostalgia juice that's gonna make you all the bucks. You can buy all the Robux, right? That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So for instance, stuff like the Suikoden remaster, where they kept the original sprites, but they like upped the graphic quality of every backdrop and all the special effects. It's a really good idea, because the special effects were impressive at the time that I played the game, so I remember them as impressive, so making them look nicer than what I remember works. Because in my memory they were super nice, right? So it matches, they're still super nice in my memory, even though they weren't in real life, right? It's that kind of stuff. It's a little bit tricky. I'm not gonna lie. It's very tricky. But that is how you like cap out on the nostalgia factor. But here's the issue that happened with Final Fantasy VI. What happened with Final Fantasy VI is that the pixel artist was given the sprites to work on or work off, right? But he wasn't given the sprites from the original game, which is like the main crux of the problem. He was given the sprites and the palettes from a shitty tablet Android remake that was made as a complete cash grab a while back. They could have given him the PS1 version, they could have given him the original Super Nintendo version, they could have given him the Game Boy Advance version. What they gave him instead was the iPad version. And the iPad version uses some very questionable color palettes that are like very, very bright, right? The colors in the original sprite work were more muted. Way, way more muted and subtle. So they gave that for him to work on. And they were like, make sure to make it colorful. I am pretty sure, from what I see, I can tell for sure, that they were like, make sure to make it colorful. You don't have any palette restrictions on how to make it. So what ended up happening was that the colors are oversaturated. You got oversaturated colors. You have terrible shading effects for pixel art, because the shading effects were straight up ripped off the iPad version. And one thing I failed to notice to tell you about the iPad version that is very, very important is that iPad version wasn't really pixel art. It was actually vector. They made it in like vector art, right? So that uses an entirely different color scheme from pixel art. It looked completely different, right? It just doesn't translate well to pixel art. But if the art director was like, no, you have to use these colors, which I'm pretty sure happened. My dude was trying to get a paycheck at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if your client doesn't want something pretty, they want something uglier, they're paying you, this is what makes them happy, you go, yeah, sure. Whatever you say, bro. And sometimes you're like, maybe don't put me in the credits. Not my best work, maybe don't put me in the credits. And that's kind of what happens. I don't know if he actually asked to not be put in the credits just because of that. I don't think so. But still. It ended up looking less than good. It looked less than good. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Unfortunately, I don't like it. Currently, it's the version that's on Steam. I don't know if there is a way to get the Game Boy Advance version on Steam too, if it's hidden somewhere, or if they took it out, because we got the definitive remake version. Why would you need another one? And like, this is kind of why game preservations is a thing, you know? This is definitely one of those where media preservation, stuff like that, needs to be a thing that needs to be talked about more often. Because because this is a product to companies. This is a product. This is not art. This is a product. To the people who made it, it was art, sure. But to the companies, it's just a product. You're meant to consume it, not dwell on it too much, and then consume other stuff. Right? That is, they don't necessarily want you thinking too much about it. They just want you to go, oh, this is great. I want to buy more products from this company. This then go. This then go. It's very simple. They're not. It's not complicated. It's not that they're trying to control your thoughts or anything. It's just that they are doing something that for the purpose of being a product, and that's it. But it holds special value to a lot of people. Like, a lot of people were like, yes, I should go out there and make friends because of something they saw in a game once. And it holds special place for them. Even if the game itself isn't necessarily that good. That little nostalgia feeling of getting like little goosebumps when the hero makes their their kinda dated by today's standard speech about friendship and holding it out there despite all the odds. It will still happen. It will still happen, and I think it's kind of a valuable thing. It is a thing that should be appreciated. It should be preserved. Welcome back, cutie kitty. So I was thinking, right? I think the basic way you can go about into thinking about a plot is like thinking how you want your character to interact. Did it hurt? What did? Thinking, nah, it's fine. I'm surprisingly used to it. See here. But like, I think the best way of trying to figure out what your story should be is figuring out how your character interacts with the world. Oh. You have 4 characters? I see. Oh dear. It's almost time. I have singing lessons in less than 1 hour. And I still have some errands I need to do. So guys, I think that's going to be all the time we have for today. Thank you all very much for joining me. This was a ton of fun as usual. We're almost done. Now I only need to do the dance loop for Whiskey. And he is gonna get his own personal ninjaling. So yay! With that said, everyone, thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you all have a wonderful day or night. Stay awesome. And like, if you still want like talk about your story, the story of your game and etc., cutie kitty, you know where to hit me up. It's fine. After all, I'll probably need to talk to you anyway about the commission, so might as well make the most of it, right? So thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night. And now we raid. Let's see. Who should we raid today? Well, think I know who I want to raid today. There we go. We're gonna raid a very lively VTuber, so y'all have a wonderful day or night. Stay awesome. And remember, when in doubt, when you think you can't do it, just think like a ninja. And sure you can. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye.